Thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Wilson.
I'm Chris Ehmke.
And this is Diesel Performance Podcast. Chris, we are in UCC season.
Man, it came up on us real quick, Paul. Real fast.
It's surprising how we've been doing UCC since it started, and yet still every year, it's like all of a sudden it's nowhere near us, and then it's 6 weeks away.
Next thing you know, your pants around your ankle. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's what my wife said. All right. So, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors at the top of the show here, XDP, your one-stop shop for diesel performance. They're the best in the industry at having everything you need. It's one of the most complete catalogs that an end user has access to. We've worked with XDP for years. We shop with XDP. We use XDP branded parts for projects here at the shop and things of that nature. So we love working with them, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah, and then Exergy Performance, right? I mean, we've always considered them that one-stop shop for anything common rail related. You'll probably see, as we're interviewing UCC competitors, some Exergy fuel system components on some of the trucks, but they've kind of been our go-to for years. And consistency is the main thing here. Is a quality part that's going to perform the same way as we saw fit the time prior. So
you said it, man. WC Fab. If you don't know about Worley Custom Fab, I don't know what rock you've been under, but give it a Google. WC Fab has just about every part you could imagine for your charged air system. Right, so I think that's what I know them the most for is intercooler pipes and everything else. Now they've really pushed the limits on getting into kind of dressing up the engine bay, powder coating, customization, things of that nature that really just take your truck from being awesome to being completely and totally unique.
So the first part of that, I have to do it. Justin can edit this. Like, if you don't know WC Fab, you could Google it. It reminded me of Talladega Nights. If you don't chew Big Red, then fuck you, right? Like that's what I felt. That was the vibe.
I've always wanted to be referenced as having a Will Ferrell vibe. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's the best compliment you've given me.
And then the last sponsor, Calibrated Power Solutions. Paul, you and I are both employed at Calibrated.
Full time.
So, hats off to Nick for, having the privilege to employ us.
Yeah. How grateful he is for that.
So, drop-in turbos, emissions on tuning, we have all of it. So if anybody has any questions on any of that stuff, you know how to get a hold of us.
You said it. All right, guys. Today we have on an awesome guest. We're excited to announce him. We have with us Michael Brown. Michael, how the hell are you?
Just fine, sir.
Michael, we're doing good, man.
Yeah,
it is nice out. It is springtime, and we are talking UCC. Is this your first time as a competitor?
Yes, first time as a competitor.
Okay. Now, I have a little bit of an advantage, right? We're friends on Facebook. I've followed the truck for
Big
many
brag.
years.
We
I know it's okay. But give us a little bit of background on your introduction into diesel performance, and then maybe tail into, what kind of truck you're going to be bringing the UCC this year.
All right. Well, bought a diesel like everybody else, need something that could pull a trailer, and got into it and, put a tuner on it, toasted a transmission, and just kind of went from there. And, you bought this, and you had to buy that, and bought this and had to buy that. And, next thing you know, you got a blown truck, and, it's broke, so you got to fix it and just build back better.
The diesel love story, man. I swear to God.
Bought a truck for towing, put a tuner on it, blew my trans. I'm going to UCC. That all makes so much sense to us.
Prior to the UCC piece, that is every Cummins owner's story. It does not fucking matter.
That's it.
How long ago? What truck is it? Let's start there.
I've got a early 07 Megacab dually. It was, originally a 5.9 truck, 48 truck. I've had it, I think, 8 years now.
Okay.
I bought it, literally made the first payment like that Friday, went sled pulling that night, and fried a transmission.
You don't give a fuck. That's awesome.
My wife left me at the sled pull track. She was pissed.
So was there...
Bought it. Yeah, well, look, bought it, and it was like, oh, yeah, it's got a built trans, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hell yeah, good. And, apparently it built to some people and built to others are different things.
Yeah.
Well, it was built. It wasn't a stock. It wasn't a box of parts.
It was
built.
Kit and a painted converter, man.
Yeah.
Built, assembled, same
it had
thing.
A converter and an input.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Now, paint this picture for us, Michael. When you were going to the track, was she like, I don't know why you're doing this? Was she, typical female going to it?
Yeah, pretty much. Because back then, I mean, that was my truck. That was what I was driving. Like, that was the truck. So it was not a good time. It was a very, like, I come home, get in bed, and I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
It's one of those. Yeah, back then I figured out, like, now shit breaks, and it's like, hell, that thing will sit broke for 6 months till you fix it. But back then, when shit broke, like, when you drive it every day, you got to figure out how to fix that thing for Monday. So it was like,
diesel.
Yeah, so we fucked around.
The magazines 10, 15 years ago really gave a false story, a false narrative of, you can have a diesel truck and do all these things and they're reliable. Try breaking your daily driver, you're screwed.
Well, yeah. I think what they leave out is because, like, you can build your truck to be reliable, but along the road to get there,
you're not going to
that's
work.
Unreliable, right?
There's a lot of growing pains with it, man. We broke it. We got the truck to like 7. I think at Levon's, this would have been like 2017 or something. I think it made like 707 or something. We ghetto fogged it like 860, and it had like little on-3 kit and like some 100-horse injectors and, just like all the little cheap stuff. I thought it was built in, and, like I put 100,000 miles, and if you stayed right there around that 700 horsepower range, like it was a blast to drive. Could go sled pulling every weekend, still tow a trailer, do all that. And then it hung an injector, melted a piston, and in 4 years it probably went 10,000 miles.
Wow.
How long ago was that first sled pull? How long have you had this truck?
Is that 8 years?
That would have been like 8 years ago, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2016, like April of 2016.
Damn.
So then over the course of the last 4 years, you've gone, you said 10,000 miles, right?
Yeah. It broke in, I think it was January or something of 2020. The injector hung, and which I was a cheap ass back then. I just put some nozzles on some stock bodies, and it worked till I got like 80,000 miles out of them, and it hung and screwed up, and then we went to a stock appearing motor. Went back to was doing more sled pull stuff, and we went to a stock appearing motor and made 5.9, made like 860 or something with it, and then run it for a while, then done a 67. Done a 6780 compound setup later that year, and then went to a 7288, and we cracked a couple blocks and everything in between there. So it's been, that truck's had like probably 6 different sets of turbos, and fuel and everything's changed up on it, and just keep going bigger, and now we're here.
So now here, current state, right? It's May 7th that this interview is being recorded. Is the truck together, ready to go?
No. So we dynoed March 1st at Fire Punk, made 2,022 horsepower.
Whoo!
Went to Blake Fitzgerald's event on Superflow to get some practice in, and we made 22. We made 2020 at Fire Punk. Then we went to Blake's, made 2207.
Okay.
And had a miss. Backed off dyno, had a miss, got it home, cracked the block.
So
multiple spots.
So I saw the Facebook post when the truck was at Levon's. I also saw the YouTube video. I was like, all right, dude's got his shit together nice and early. And then I didn't see anything, and then I see a post, the truck's apart again. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I literally stabbed a deck plate in it over the weekend.
Okay.
Motors, we ended up, we built a deck plate. John at Jams up in Ohio got me blocked together. We done D&J rods, D&J stationary head. Still got, Caterbilt turbos on it. We swapped from the 108 atmosphere we had to a 115. And, Flux has injectors right now. I should have them hopefully end of the week, first of next. And it'll be back together and ready to rock.
Nothing like waiting until the last second here, Mike. Come on.
Man, it's UCC. Trucks usually get finished putting together at the track.
Yeah, that's kind of it, man. I really hate doing that. Like, I spend a whole lot of money and try not to be that guy, but damn, it always happens.
Now, let me ask you this.
It's like, oh, hell, we got it together. Let's go test, and then we break something.
Are you going to be taking advantage of the Superflow dyno being down at Thoroughbred next weekend? Is that kind of a thought in your head, or not really?
That is the goal.
Okay.
That is 100% of the goal. We went last year, and we once done, I think we got third at Thoroughbred last year. I think we nitrous screwed up and it made like 14. I think it made 14 something, 15 something, something like that.
Sounds about right. I remember watching it.
Yeah, and it done, and so the plan is to go to Thoroughbred. I'm in Middle Tennessee, so Thoroughbred's really not that far for us. Plus, it's close. Of course, my wife is like, hell no, don't do that. What if you blow up?
Voice of reason.
I got this really bad problem with, don't let out or nothing. So it's like, it's kind of like, if you got 10 inches, you're not going to use 6 of it. Like, you're going to use it all.
Nope.
So I'm like, we'll probably turn down the nitrous a little bit. It does have like 4 kits on it and running through Max 5 and everything. We'll probably tone the nitrous back a little bit and see what it'll do. We learned a lot between Fire Punk, the dyno run at Fire Punks and Blake's. We picked up 200 horsepower on the same fuel and same nitrous tune-up, just with doing some tire changes and suspension changes, preparing for the dyno. And, hopefully look to improve on a number, going to Thoroughbred and then can go from there. We knew the block, we had a sleeve, it was a sleeve 6.7 was, wasn't deck plate, and we were concerned that would kind of be the weak spot. We hoped to get a little more out of it, but I'm glad it broke when it did, where it did, and how it did. It didn't destroy any of the piping. Keaton Sample's done an awesome job on all the piping on it. And, it's like I've had shit where it blew up. Last time it blew up at Fire Punk at the sled pull, it destroyed everything last summer. Oh. So it was like, it was a big fireball there. And, it was holes through the fenders, through the hood, everything. So it's like this time the way it broke, like we come home and like took it apart and it was just like, oh, yeah, a piece of the block fell off. All right, that's the problem. So we can address it from there, but it was like, it sucked, but it was right. And it's one of those, we want to go to Thoroughbred and test, but I don't want to destroy it for UCC.
No.
But on the other hand, I don't want to not beat on it and go to UCC and, first pass or anything and you chuck a rod. So.
No.
Now, let me ask this. Have you been the one running it on the dyno on all these dyno passes, or has there been somebody at these facilities running it?
Yeah, no, anything we've done on Superflow, we've always run it. At Fire Punk, Larson was running it. So I've got some experience on Superflow. I think we've been on there 5 or 6 times now.
Okay.
And every time is a new personal best. So, I'm super happy with that. I think we've made like, 10, 30 or something like that, and then made like 12 something, 14 something, 16 something, and now 22. So it's like, as long as every time, and it sucks blowing shit up, but as long as I'm always just, it happens, you'll have that, and it's just, as long as we learn from it and we gain something, and usually as long as we pick up some power, hell, I'm happy with it, and we'll do it again.
So
that's awesome.
Let me ask you this: what's the driving force? What makes you keep wanting to put another engine in it? 6 or 7 different turbo configurations. What's the drive for all of it?
I'm just kind of stupid, I guess. I don't know, man. I really enjoy it. Like, I've got some other projects and stuff that I really need to start putting some time and money into, but it's like, man, it just, I don't know, the truck's a blast. I bitch about it, bust ass, make money and everything to work on it, and then it's like, hell, as soon as you start it, it's like, oh, hell, it's going again.
Yep.
And you go, do the first, roller going 80 mile an hour and kick all 4 tires loose. It's like grinning ear to ear and doesn't matter.
So
I love it. Now, it sounds like you have a lot of sled pull experience, a lot of dyno experience. What about drag racing? What's your relationship there?
Well, me and the truck are both fat and heavy and not really fit for that. And so, the truck does like normal weight, is 8,300 pounds. It's typically where we sled pull locally. That's where we kind of are allowed to do. The best pass I've ever made was absolutely still a horrible pass. It was actually at UCC, just doing the test and tune or whatever, in 21, I think, 21 or 22. It went like a 7-11 at like 106. So like a mile per hour decent. But so the problem's always been, typically the truck's for sled pull, so I have a locker in the front end.
Okay.
Well, lockers don't do good drag racing. At about 100 foot out, it's turning one direction or the other, and usually it's right into the fucking wall.
Right. No, makes sense.
So I'm kind of, so I've always kind of been a little scared to drag race it and to really get after it. So that's one thing. We're pulling a limited slip out of the front and putting an air locker in it. I'm actually going to be doing that this week. And, so that way that should make us more competitive for drag racing. Realistically, UCC goals, I'd like to anything under a 650. I think that, like, if you go for some micro records, I think like the fastest Megacab is like a 648 or something. So if we get somewhere around there, hell, I'd call it a win and be done. And then hopefully, be able to make a good number on dyno and, be competitive in the sled pool.
So I know you said at the drag strip, you kind of gave us what the win would be. What's an overall finish for you? What's your goal going into UCC weekend?
Man, I'd really love a top 10. I'm a normal guy. Like I work my day job and come home and do this and have, wife, dogs, all that. I'm not a shop. So, I've got some companies that, help us, but there's no giant name on the side of the truck or anything. It's us. So I feel like if we could do top 10 in that field, I think we'd do really good. Ideally I'd love top 5 in dyno and sled pull, but if we could do a 10 overall, I would be super happy.
Oh, yeah.
Top 5. Seems like you'd be a real competitive truck at the sled pull.
Yeah.
Is that where you're hoping to do the best? Because I worry now with the bar being set at 3,000 horsepower on the dyno, that's kind of the standard, right? It's like if you want to be number one, you got to be chasing 3,000. You might not have to be there. We'll see, but you're going to have to be going after it.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Like dyno wise, we have, we've got two 14 mil XGs. Flux got us some big injectors. We should have everything that if we had the balls to spray it that high, I think we could probably do it. And then sled pull, like I said, I think sled pull is where we could really be competitive with. Like I said, I've got quite a bit of experience with it, with sled pulling it. And usually if that truck's running, we're literally hooked to a sled every weekend, every other weekend somewhere. We always mile per hour good. I've got, a lot of experience on the starting line with it. We've pulled with some 2.6 and 3.0 trucks and done good. So it's like, we're used to that and feel like that's where we will be the most competitive.
It's so interesting to me, Chris, because so much of UCC over the past few years has become drag racers who have to go sled pull.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm unfortunately sled pull's stuck drag racing. Like realistically, if we go out there anything, like we make one decent pass and I'm like, yep, we're done. Like I'm not going to be one of those to go out there and all right, well, let's see if we can improve on it. We can improve. No, I don't give a shit about that. Like drag racing is the sideshow part to the rest of it for me.
No, you see UCC, in my opinion, it brings one or the other, right? Like there's no such thing as one truck that can do all three set up one way.
Right.
Levon's proved it. Other guys have proved it. Late nights reworking the truck, or what was it, 2 years or last year where you bring two trucks and do
it was like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Which I don't think that fared very favorable. But
they're not doing it anymore.
Go on, Michael. I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay. So you see some stuff like that, but there's always been this theory. I know we've talked about it at the shop. Is I don't know. I think I'd rather have like a dominant sled pull truck that can dyno and just make it from A to B at the track.
Yeah, I wonder. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's kind of me and where I want to be. A to B is really all we want to do: be safe and make a decent number.
Yeah.
If you think back, I think Ziegler and Burkhart are the last two winners, right? Both sled pullers who can drag race. Like both came up as sled. When I met Ziegler coming out of, me and our producer Justin were at Diesel Power Challenge. They took a DPC truck from Ohio to Colorado and stopped on the way to sled pull.
No, you're right.
So
you're right.
Sled pullers, but they learned how to drag race. The trucks were set up to drag race. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, that's what I was.
Fast motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like no question, fast motherfuckers. So if you want to be in a number one, you kind of that seems to be the recipe, right? Levon, Derek Rose, Ziegler, Burkhart. It's like all of the winners have all started off sled pulling, gone to learn how to drag race. Maybe not D Rose. I think he's mostly been in drag racing. But at any rate,
but I get what you're saying.
So it's interesting to me to come with the truck. Now the difference with those guys compared to your truck is their trucks were all set up for drag racing. So like shooting at a number one, I will say it's going to be awesome. You got to be by far the heaviest truck racing on Friday.
I mean,
oh yeah, I'm guaranteed, man. I've got some gutted doors, Lexan, gutted bed, all that to throw on it to go drag racing, and then literally as soon as that, I want to put all my regular shit back on. When it's sled pulls and dyno, I want it to have a dually bed and be my truck.
Now, Randy Reyes is going to be there this year. Am I correct on that assumption? Another dually,
I believe
not
he's
a
on the
mega
list,
cab,
yeah.
but it's a crew long, mega, or a crew long dually. So, Michael, I got to ask, right? Like, who are you gunning for? This is the time to call some people out. Paul's usually the one to stir the pot. I want to do it this
I can't
time.
believe you're doing it.
So,
yes, I love this.
Who are you going after? Like, who are the guys where you're like, fuck this guy, I'm better than, I'm going to put him in the dirt? Who is it?
Man, I really don't know. Like, I don't really have anyone. I don't talk a lot of shit. Me and Josh McCormick used to go back and forth sled pulling, when he was out here. And, like, Josh was my number one. I wanted to beat him sled pulling, and it was like every damn time something happened.
Okay.
And so
he was
Josh
cheating?
was the one I was really after sled pulling. Huh?
Because he was cheating? Is that the implication you were saying?
No,
You're saying every time I would have beat McCormick if he wouldn't cheat. We all heard it. It's okay.
No, McCormick's a cheater.
No, he just, man, his shit done good. He had a spell where it blew up a lot, and then it's, hell, he's done really good the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And, like, that was one, like, he was my friend to me. Like, it was like I wanted to beat him because he was local. We'd go to some of the same stuff, and it was like, damn it. And then I got to beat his truck. Well, no, I think David brought it to Fire Punks last year. And it was like, damn it, even if we beat it, like I didn't beat Josh, I beat David in Josh's truck.
Yeah. So it's still not beating Josh. I gotcha.
Yeah. It was just one of those. Like, that was one of them I want to screw with. I mean, like, I've got Daniel Hargrove is a buddy of mine that's doing UCC. He's literally 10 minutes down the road from me. Like, he's helped me a lot on the truck. So he's obviously one that, I want to screw with just because locally, that's, just to screw with him. Because currently, like, when we dynoed the truck, I think his made 2004 or something at Beans last year. So I'm like, look, I don't give a shit if it makes 2005. I just need to make, it needs the highest horsepower truck locally. That's all I need. Like, you can make 2005. Now, if he goes and makes 3,000, I'm going to have to spray it to 3001. But
that 5 kids you were talking about, now there's 7.
Yeah, I'd say him. Logan Epling's another one, that's a friend of mine. So it's like, wouldn't mind, of course, just friends trying to screw with each other on it. Now, on the other side of that, both of them are going to absolutely murder me drag racing. So there we go.
What about some of the big names at UCC? Are you gunning for any of the repeat showstoppers? Dimitri Millard's back in it this year. I know a lot of people would love to beat Dimitri out on the sled pull track or anywhere they could. I
don't know. I wouldn't mind getting Chris. I know, me and Chris are friends. Chris has helped him, some of the previous motors and stuff for it. I wouldn't mind screwing with him some. Of course, he put a monster pull down last year. And, so it was one of those. I think I beat him at King of the Street 2 years ago at a sled pull and then, broke an intake or blew intake and fried some pistons. But then, so I wouldn't mind beating Chris just because, we're friends, both got dualies, got very similar builds on the fuel side. And, just see how it goes.
I love it.
I also just, it's my curiosity. I went through a raft of blowing up a couple motors a couple years ago, and my girlfriend was just getting irritated with the amount of money I was spending. Is there like a expectation with the wife, like, hey, if shit goes south, the truck sits for a bit, or it's, hey, you're going to put it right back together for sled pull season?
Well, so supposedly I'm going to park it.
As long as she doesn't hear this, on the record, it's getting parked.
Yeah. Supposedly I'm going to park it, man. That's kind of like, but on the other side of that, hell, I may drop it back to 1,000 horsepower and just have a good time with it. Because really, sled pulling, if you make 1,200 horsepower and got a good chassis, you can go do awesome and have a blast. And like everything's overbuilt now, drive shafts, axles, everything's overdone, so we can go and have a good time at that horsepower range and pull. Hell, if you're willing to drive 3 hours, hell, we can go pull every weekend and go have a good time, win some money. So I'd say the plan is I'm going to jump to another project after this for a little while if there's like a big catastrophic failure. But, once you got all the hard parts, it really isn't that expensive to go back through it.
No, not
I
wrong.
love it. Yeah, you're not. That happens,
Yeah.
right? Like we'll see some
Yeah,
wear
I
and
mean-
tear. I always tell guys, listen, at UCC, day one, we're going to see somebody blow up their truck. We're also going to see
Yeah.
the track get oiled down at least once beyond that blow up.
Yep.
Day
Yeah.
2 on the dyno, someone's going to blow up their truck. And day 3 at the sled pull, we'll see who's left. And that's really how UCC shakes down every year, right?
Yeah,
It's like
that-
those are promises.
That's it exactly. Like my thing is, I just want to make it to the sled pull. Like
There you
that's really it. Like that's where like I said, we really plan on trying to do well there, and that's the main goal. Is hope that truck. It's a mega cab dually. Hell, we're not used to going that fast. That's what even like we tried dyno and then third locked on the Superflow just to see what it would do because I was like, man, I hate the wheel speed. Like absolutely cannot stand that much wheel speed. Just that's not what we do with this.
Yep.
Right.
And so it's like, we're going to do something, try to do something different with it. After, depending on how this goes, I'd like to go back and do King of the Street again. Like I said, we done that a couple years ago and, had an engine failure, of course. And then, I had it on a button then and, boost dropped out and I had a bunch of nitrous on a button. So I just kept feeding it that and melted some pistons.
So casually, just like, yeah.
It's just part of it.
I love it. I love it. Well, Michael, we love having you on the show. You've been an absolute blast to talk to. Who has helped you out with the truck? Who do you want to give a shout out to?
There's several people with it, man. I'm going to get my little list out here so I don't forget anybody.
Look at how
That's
well
awesome.
prepared he is.
That's awesome.
Hey, man, I told you I don't want to be last minute on some shit. Of course, we got Flux, Don, and April. They've been awesome, man. They've been on board since 2020, I believe, and have went through, injectors, on all the changes on the truck and stuff, and everything was done and changed and just keep upgrading. And we got Tate, awesome Tate Taterbuilt. He's been awesome since we done like the work stock pulling and then moved up with it. Like, we knew like when I first started, it was like, hey, I want to buy 2 turbos. He's like, why? And I was like, well, I know we're going to blow one up and I'm realistic. So I need 2 of them. Like if we're pushing them, like we know what we're going to do, like I'm not worried about it. We just need to do it. And since then, he's always taken care of me. Call, text, say, what do you need, or is it all going to be all right? And I tell him, hey, I want to make 1,300 horsepower. He builds me a set that's going to make 1,300. So of course, he's done awesome with it. Alex Arquette, Cornerstone Transmission. He's in Texas. He come on, I guess, a year or so ago. Started helping with the transmission program. It's been great. We run a Sancher input, and it's been awesome at that weight and horsepower. 0 failures, no issues there. It's been great. Still at DPC helped out this year with a converter. Kyle Fisher, Hot Shots, has been awesome. Every time we get something back together, anything, shoot him a text and he'll help out with some fluid, and see him at events, anything we need, he takes care of us. Of course, Keaton Samples at Samples Performance Fab. Keaton is very particular and took on all the piping and y'all see the pictures, like the piping and stuff's awesome on that truck. Like super anal about every little thing. You can be anal on a truck and would call and be like, hey, what do you want? I'm like, just pick it. Well, what do you want? I don't care. Just pick it. Well, which way? And just super anal about every little part of it. And he was a mechanic first that started making kits. So everything is easy to work on. It's not like some engineer that has never touched a wrench has done anything, and you go to work on it and can't get to anything. And then we got Air Dog, CJ and James there have been awesome, helped out. They come to Fire Punk when we dynoed and was there all day with us, helping us get some shit straight on the AEM and fuel system and everything, and helping set all that up and call and text to make sure everything's going like it's supposed to. And then we've got Fire Punk, Levon, Larson, Rick. All of them have been awesome, answer a million questions. I know I bug all of them with stuff, and, they've all been great to deal with. Levon, them, hell, we spent 14 hours or something on the dyno that day trying to get everything lined out. I think we finally didn't make the 2,000 number till like 10 o'clock at night, and it was just, just figuring, like, so we'd put an AEM in it and just figuring out some stuff with that and all the EGT modules and stuff on it, and put a wideband and everything, trying to do everything as safe as we can. And, it's just nice that, anyone that's dealt with Levon them doesn't, I'll tell you, like, he'll help out any way you want. Like, he's, does awesome. And, just can't thank them enough for it. And then, of course, my wife, Jerry, I got Wyatt, this kid that works for me. He's been with me like 2 years now, works in the shop every night, helping me put this shit together. And, I'm sure he hates it because he'll bust ass, help me put it together, and he's excited just to go and watch us blow it up and come back on Monday and be like, all right, man, so this week, this is what we get to do. And then, like I said, Daniel Hargrove's local to me. He's helped out a bunch, like just driving wherever we need to go and do stuff. And, we got a whole bunch of friends and family that have helped out and, watch, or even if it's just, people texting you, hey, how's it going? Or we've seen you or whatever, it's just, makes it a good time and makes it more enjoyable. And like I said, we couldn't do it without everybody.
That's awesome. Well, again, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. Listeners, I got a real good feeling after interviewing so many competitors out the years, this is a guy to watch out for. Absolutely. Best of luck to you, Michael.
All right, awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You take care.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. This has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Ehmke.
Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Like, I'm a mechanic, so sometimes I use cuss words like commas.
It's okay.
I'll do my best.
It's okay. Paul's mom listened to one of the episodes and counted how many times he said fuck. So, we're good.
Yeah. Was not embarrassed at all.